stock exchange. It's an exchange where people can buy and sell shares. If you take TPI cap, it's professional traders, so investment banks, buy side, sell side, are brought together by our brokers and trillions of dollars of trades go through our systems every year. This generates millions of data points every day, and data science at Parameta is all about taking all of this data, packaging it up, building products, and selling to our clients.
Hello everyone, Mario, the head of security and privacy at Payable. Come from a very networks background, strong military base, telecoms, and then transitioning into cybersecurity through ethical hacking and threat intelligence. Today, we're not going to talk about hacking, but we'll talk about the complexity of protecting data, especially financial data, and how we use data analytics to run our everyday work in correlating that information and getting that rich data into our CMs and intruder detection systems to protect our infrastructure.
Before we jump into that, can we just talk about what is data? And when we had a discussion before, me and Martin had a bit of an argument about what's data versus coding. So can we talk about that? What's the difference?
Do we have an argument? It's a great question because honestly, everything we've spoken about today, data is the kind of lifeblood, of you don't have devs, you don't have engineers, you don't have products, you don't have financial apps if you don't have data. So if you take a step back and think about data, it's really an empirical view of the world. Kind of take a philosophical view. It's like data is based on observation. Observation needs measurement. We have the real world, virtual world, model world, events, everything you interact with. If you can put a measurement system on it, you can generate data. I was thinking about this. It's interesting to think about. Take music for example. Music, you can have notes. So you've got data which is sheet music. You can also digitize it and play it through Spotify. You can listen to it via sound waves. So here we've got 3 different ways of measuring music. Okay, 3 different systems. They all talk about the same thing. So I think that's interesting. Like data doesn't exist without measurement. And also I think when you think about data, you need to think about what's around data, the data lifecycle. So data is not static. Data doesn't just exist. It needs to be consumed, it needs to be moved, it needs to be transformed. So we have the data lifecycle, and then I think a lot of maybe your expertise in data privacy and security, it's like what's the ecosystem around data. Okay, so again, you have data governance, you've got processes, you've got systems. So data is just not numbers, words, etc. It's a whole ecosystem. I think when it comes to coding, this is where we did have a slight argument. But actually, it did get me to think. When I started out, my background is applied mathematics. I've always worked with data, but written code. But coding is changing, and we've heard a lot today about AI agents. So for me, it's not really coding; it's computation. How do we compute with data? How do we work with data? How do we interact with data? And so we've moved away from 50 years ago, where it could be feeding punch cards into a machine. We moved on to very low-level coding, then some higher-level languages. Now we have like some, like Python, Rust. But what's going to happen next is we're going to start interacting with data using AI. So is that coding? Is that computing? For me, it is. It's the next level. So coding as a concept is not just sitting down and writing some C# or C++. It's how you interact from our point of view, how you interact with data. And just to finish up, sorry, as a data scientist, the next step then is insights. So we have the data lifecycle, we get the data in front of people, then what insights you generate, and then how can you build applications based on those insights. So I think, for me, that's data coding.
And let's move on to the next question. This question for both of you is what role does data play in driving innovation? And the ethical hacking piece, it'd be good to talk about that little piece as well, and how that made you think about how you could innovate.
Yeah, well, we cyber threats. So we try to relevate that, sort of leverage that data and that analytics and enhance our security posture. So we use that data to detect and mitigate like security threats, identify a lot of network anomalies, and that is through a lot of systems and a lot of a lot of correlated information that derives from a lot of systems. We use AI, especially for fraud detection and network anomalies. That's it.
And also go on.
Yeah. Just I mean, it's a really good question, because for me it's all about data drives innovation, but then innovation creates better data, and then that drives more innovation. I've been lucky enough to be around for a few different, what I would call, innovation leaps. AI is currently happening, but earlier in my career I worked in computational biology, and I was around for the Human Genome Project. So suddenly, and there's no difference between that and what's happening now, in terms of suddenly a huge amount of very valuable data was available, but the tools and technology was not there at that point to be able to work with it, to get value out of it. And so what happened was a whole set of tools were developed, and that created more data, and then that led to more innovation, greater products, breakthroughs in biology and disease, etc. And I think you see the same now with AI. AI is allowing us to work with data that previously was intractable, and the tools are generating more data, which again is going to generate more insights. And I think we're on this flywheel of innovation, really.
Yeah, that's that law of accelerating returns, which data and AI together is just continue to go faster and faster and faster. Let's move into. Well, Mary, you just talked about privacy and security before we move on to the kind of next part. But in terms of privacy and security, obviously we heard about finance apps, and we had some really good advice and insights. And obviously we're doing a hackathon later on. Can you talk about, with kind of that lens as well, why data privacy and security is important? Because it kind of sounds like something you probably wouldn't worry about, wouldn't think about at the start, because everyone wants just to start building stuff. But when it goes at scale, then obviously it's very, very, very important. Otherwise, your business can go bust overnight.
Well, it's it's crucial, especially when you handle sensitive financial data. And of course, you have the regulatory landscape that you need to look into, obviously, and be aligned with that. And it's it's more on the protecting sensitive information with you build trust by using this stuff, rich data, and mitigating hacking through the systems, and obviously protecting breaches and all that stuff. So in short, it's very crucial, especially when you want to we drive a lot of innovation through enabling security. We try to safeguard our environment by adopting a lot of technologies. We use a lot of AI tools like I said before. But the main driving factor is building trust and securing those systems.
To be honest, I don't have much to add, because this guy is the security expert. But I think what is important is, for people out there who are looking to get into data science or data engineering, it's not enough just to learn about data science, or become a good developer, learn how to code. You need to start thinking of the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is just what you've been talking about. It's like data privacy, data security, data governance. It's kind of, for me, it's kind of, I would have said it's quite boring, because it's not as exciting as building a machine learning model. But actually, from a business perspective, and we're all here because of business, trying to make our business successful. It's actually critical, and don't lose sight of the fact that it's not really what you're doing. It's like how the business is doing.
And that's one reason why big financial institutions move so slowly compared to a fintech. Because if you get something wrong, you'll get a £5 billion fine from the regulator. So that's why privacy and security is really, really important. So the next question is around analytics. What's the role of data analytics in finance apps and decision making?
You know what? I think the guys who were speaking about financial apps earlier touched on quite a lot of this. I was thinking about this question, and it's like what is it about finance? Because data analytics exists, in all industries. And if you work with data, then if you're doing any interesting work, it's going to be analytical. What is it about finance? I think because finance touches all of us. Like you said, like someone said earlier, we all have a bank account. We all have on our phone. We have financial applications. So, where's this going? So, so I guess in terms of finance, it touches us all. So analytics touches all of us. In our day to day. I think from my perspective, we build apps that the public don't use, but these apps for us are used to add value to our data. So from my perspective, analytics is all about increasing the value of the data that we can provide to our clients. A lot of what was touched on earlier is increasing the value of the customer experience. So I guess the message maybe that's coming through there is that raw data on its own, static data is not static. Like what you do is something very important. It's like reducing friction. So moving data, I push pull. We work with you guys. Being able to move data and reduce the friction means that you can get more insights in front of people much faster. And I think that's one of the, I would say, step changes over the last 10 years of working with data. It's like analytics works because we can access data. It's easier to access data, and it's easier to build knowledge on top of your raw data.
Risk management. Analytics help us quantify risks, the breach likelihood, and obviously drive investment, which is usually not the priority, not the actual priority on C-level. So we use a lot of that to do the provide historical data, identify those vulnerabilities, do the risk assessment, and then provide that information to our to C-level. Again, going back to how we power all this with AI, a lot of AI. We use a lot of those systems to detect anomalies in the network and do a lot of initial blocking of any attempts or attacks.
And so going back to AI, obviously that's a big theme in the world. Let's look at the trend of AI agents. How does that apply to data science, and how does it apply to data security? Or how do you foresee it maybe being applied, if it's not already?
Yeah, I think Alex has covered this in quite a lot of depth earlier. We spoke about it when we were discussing the summit. Alex is right in saying that AI agents are the future. For the last 2 years, so AI was kind of thrust upon us almost, ChatGPT, and it was very much interactive. Okay, for AI to work in the real world, it needs to be a component of a bigger system. So it's going to replace parts of the systems that we currently use, maybe by code, etc. But it's really going to be part of the system. So at reInvent this year, it was all about AI agents. So you can be guaranteed
What's reInvent?
Sorry, reInvent is the big AWS annual conference in Vegas, where they talk about the future, and all they spoke about was AI agents. So that's what you're going to hear about this year. Just like briefly, I mean, because Alex has explained quite a lot, AI agents are, you know, you kind of have two types of this. You have workflows, so you have LLMs as part of a workflow, incorporated with, you know, maybe code, with chatbots, where the LLM, where it's quite a predefined pathway through your the solution you're trying to provide. And then more agentic type of LLM will have no predefined workflow, but it will, like for example, you may say, I want to go to Canada. It seems to be the topic du jour today. I want to go to Canada on this date and find me some hotels. And the agent will go off. There's no predefined path. It would work out what it needs to do. It will start using the tools that it thinks are needed, and then it will come back with the results of that. So this is making AI work in the real world. I think it's obviously it's where AI is going. Otherwise, it's pointless. You know, if you can't work with real data, if you can ask AI what the weather is like today, it can't tell you. Okay, but if it has a tool that can look up a website, then it can tell you. So that's an AI agent.
AI, impact on data. We need solid governance. I mean, 100% there, and you know, it's we need to have you know, ensure accuracy and relevance and compliance, because these things are quite easy to be neglected. Impact on security. Some good things, some bad things. So we can analyze vast amounts of data in real time and proactively identify threats. The emerging threats, though, from AI are, you know, it's basically malicious actors, those ethical hackers we discussed earlier. So there's a lot of innovation going into that with deepfakes now, and driven malware that we need to look into, and our work becomes a lot more difficult because you know, there are immense amount of tools they are using out there, and you know, the threat landscape has increased tremendously.
Yeah. Sorry, just to add to that, and I think maybe this is something we've discussed at some point in the past too. It's like AI is great for like what it's kind of okay. Let me start again. One thing that AI is doing is forcing us to automate. Automation is what we should all be doing, okay? Because there's so many manual processes that cause so much friction in every industry, and AI is forcing us to have to automate, because you can't use AI without automation. The second thing is forcing us to clean up our data, because everybody has really bad data. You cannot use AI without having good quality data. So two of the things that AI is driving, which are not related to AI, but which are needed to make it work, are automation and data quality. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and data itself, because like if anyone, you know, obviously AI is going to be taking over lots of things, but if the data's not there, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be roles and opportunities in data. So on that note, how can, you know, people who are at university now and they're interested in data, how can you break into a career in data?
How can you break into a career in data in security? My domain, I guess. So you need to grasp the fundamentals of data security, and that involves a lot of governance and essential principles on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. so the triage, the CIA, study malware, phishing, get your hands on ransomware, get it out, and get familiar with stuff like standards like ISO, NIST, DORA, digital resilience, UK digital resilience. So that's my basic guidelines. But you need to have that hunger to always be ahead and be more creative. And cause security is a very complex environment. So you need to have a lot of disciplines in a lot of domains. So yeah, that's basically get those initial, get that triage, dip into your root, and that will give you a good boost into your career.
Yeah, thanks. Probably the most important question of the whole session. Okay, I won't tell you how to get into data, because when I was at your stage, I didn't even know what data was. I mean, I did, but it wasn't a thing. And I didn't even know I was going to get into data. But what I did was, and I think I've got three bits of advice. First piece is do what you love. Honestly, if you always follow your passions, you'll be successful. That's my belief. It may not be true for everybody, but that's what I've done. People, when I studied mathematics, the only question they asked me was I going to be a teacher? I didn't know what I was going to be, but all I knew was if I stopped doing mathematics, it would be part of me that was taken away. Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing, and this has been touched on as well, is broaden your knowledge. Go to meetups, digests. I have 4 or 5 digests that come into my mailbox every week. I can't read them all at the moment, but read up on the area, read up on the subjects. It's amazing what you're going to learn from digests. And the third piece, probably forgotten. What's the third one? Yeah, it's like networking. Like you touched on it. When I had a whole career in biotech before I moved into finance, before I moved to London. When I moved to London, I did actually find that I found networks. I mean, I knew nobody, so I could see the negative effect of not having a network, compared to now, where I know loads of people and I've built up a strong network. You start at the bottom. You're never going to get that Goldman Sachs job, right? One of you might, but like 99 won't. It doesn't matter. Just follow your passions, get involved, learn to code. Honestly, if you can code, I'll give you a job. That is true. Learn to code. And yeah, stay current.
We've got time for one question. Yeah.
Question to Mario. So yeah, you mentioned the importance of governance over AI, and as we've seen, the US is kind of like the Wild West for AI, especially with Trump rolling back Biden's previous AI safety policy. That's very different to the EU, and it's one of the massive criticisms of the EU being super strict and regulatory. Mm-hmm. What is your take on it? Do you think either party is right, wrong? How do you see it?
There's no right, wrong. It's just a matter of governance, different angle of looking to the domains in AI or blockchain. I think it's more. I mean, in the near future, there's going to be like an alignment, and countries coming to a sort of like they would inherit, the best practice out of all the technologies, especially AI, and they will then formulate that type of how do I say it now? Harmonization, and to do that, there's going to be a lot of effort. There's going to be a lot of political discussion, because you can have like different momentums, especially if you want to have this growth. So I think at some given point in time, there's going to be a lot of alignment. It's going to be painful, but yeah, we're going to get there.
Cool. Thank you, Mario, Martin. Put your hands together for them.